by asking you guys a question, and I want you to answer. Have you ever felt worthless or panicked or sad, worried, anxious? Anybody? Me too. So these are all normal things that everybody faces, but sometimes they can last for a long time and get out of control, and that might lead to a mood disorder. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about depression. Some statistics on college students in a study done by MTVU and the Associated Press say that 80% of college students have frequently or sometimes experienced daily stress. 50% of college students say they've been so depressed that it was hard to function within the last year. And 9% of college students have seriously considered suicide. In America, there are 19 million people that struggle with depression, and women are twice as likely to get depression as men. And according to the World Health Organization, major depression is the leading cause of disability worldwide among ages 5 and up. And a few of the symptoms of depression are persistent, sad, anxious, or irritable moods, loss of interest in previously enjoyable activities, trouble sleeping or sleeping too much, feeling run down or tired even when you do sleep, significant appetite or weight change, overreaction to criticism, difficulty concentrating or remembering decisions, feelings of worthlessness, hopelessness, or guilt, physical problems like headaches, digestive problems, or chronic pain, and thoughts of death or suicide. So a lot of these symptoms everybody has faced, but when it's depression, it lasts for 2 or more weeks and it doesn't seem to be getting better, even if the situation is like improving, but you don't feel better. And so these are the different types of depression. Major depressive disorder is what most people think of when you think about depression, and dysthymic and minor depression are less intense versions where you don't get as low of the lows. And psychotic depression is with psychotic tendencies, which could be hallucinations or something like that. And then seasonal affective disorder is a depression that is influenced by the weather and the seasons. Most people get it in the winter because it's cold and the sun isn't out. And then bipolar disorder is where you have depression on one end and then manic on the other end, so you go from really high to really low. And then for anxiety, anxiety is a natural response to stress. I'm sure everybody in this room has felt anxiety at some point in your life. But when it gets super overwhelming and you can't control it, and the anxiety is worse than the situation is, then it could be an anxiety disorder. And anxiety disorders are the most common mental illness in the US, and there are 40 million people who have anxiety disorders. And 75% of those people have had their first episode by age 22. Some symptoms of anxiety disorders are excessive worry that you can't control, episodes of fear or panic, which can be panic attacks, nightmares, avoidance of social situations, difficulty concentrating, repeated unwanted thoughts and obsessions, sleep disturbances, and physical symptoms like nausea, stomach pain, rapid heart rate, muscle tension, sweating, shaking, dizziness, numbness, and difficulty breathing. So the different types are panic disorder, which can be panic attacks, and there are some people who will have one panic attack and never have one again. And there are other people that continually will struggle with them. And then obsessive compulsive disorder is when you have some kind of worry that you get obsessive about, and what you have to do to try to not get to that point is like, people afraid of germs might wash their hands 5 times a day, or like 5 times, I don't know, just it's not the worry, it's when the worry gets out of hand and affects your daily life that it's OCD. And then post-traumatic stress disorder is after an intense event in your life that wasn't good, that could that you might relive later after the fact. And then social phobia is not wanting to interact with other people, and specific phobias can be anything from flying to spiders, and it's when it interferes with your daily life that it is an anxiety disorder. And then the overall one is generalized anxiety disorder. And a little tidbit on sleeping disorders is that it's kind of a chicken and egg phenomenon with sleeping and anxiety disorders, because anxiety can cause sleeping problems and sleep deprivation can cause anxiety. Like my freshman year, I was super stressed about school and I would lay in bed for hours with my mind racing, and then I wouldn't sleep and I would be worried about not getting sleep. So it's just a big cycle. So how does this relate? There are a lot of things about college that are new that might cause stress and anxiety, and some of these are new environment and responsibilities. A lot of people move away from home and you have to do a lot of things that you've never had to do before, like feed yourself. And there's more intense competition, which I'm sure we all know because we're at the top of our classes. Even if we were really high in high school, there's more people to compete against. And there's this cultural focus on the future that once we get to college, it's like, what are you doing next? And nobody really knows what the future holds, so that can cause a little bit of anxiety. And I think there's just overall more stress because we don't all know what we're doing. And then there's also a technology overload. Like, there's technology everywhere. We have our iPhones and laptops with us. There's technology in the classroom. And there's social media that connects us all, but it also might make us feel a little isolated at times too. And so if anybody is struggling with anxiety, I just want to let you know that you're not alone. And you can talk to people, and I would encourage you to. College is hard and can get overwhelming. And another thing is that your feelings are real. It's so easy, like I know in my struggle with some of these things, like I would put myself down, be like, I shouldn't be worried about this, this is dumb. But if you have the feelings in you, it's okay, and you can talk about it. And you're allowed to ask for help and shouldn't feel shame asking for help. And then I would encourage you to talk to people around you if you're close with somebody who you feel like you can, or there's colleges that have counselors, or a pastor at church might want to help you. And then here are some tips on just staying healthy, which I'm sure you've heard before, but it's a good emphasis. Getting sleep is really important for your overall health. And then exercising regularly helps release endorphins, which trigger positive feelings in your body. And then eating good foods, your body needs nutrients, and your whole body's connected, so body and mind, like, they all have to be healthy for your whole being to be healthy. And vitamin deficiencies can lead to and worsen these mood disorders. So you need foods with vitamin C and D and B6 and omega-3, calcium and zinc. And you can get vitamin D from sunlight, so it's good to go outside too. And then I think coming to college, it's good to find out your limits and know yourself socially, emotionally, mentally, and physically, and just like not be worried about trying to impress other people, because you have to keep yourself healthy in order to be active in college. And that goes into making your life balanced and taking time for yourself, because if you let yourself get run down, you're not going to be able to help anybody else. And then another thing is to find a good support system. I know coming to college, it might be hard because you have your parents back home and that relationship might be changing, but just like find a place where you can fit in and talk to people. And then here's some additional resources for all of these. They're really helpful. So yeah. And I have copies of these additional resources if anybody wants them, so you don't have to remember them.
Yeah, well,
Thank you.